Level 1. The note. The note is taped to the coffee maker because she knew that is the first place you look every morning. 11 words. You count them. You are going to count everything from now on. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. Tell him something kind. The clock on the stove says 6:12 a.m. You just walked in from a 12-hour night shift at the distribution center. Your son is asleep down the hall with his arm around a stuffed dog named Bear. Her closet is empty. Her key is on the counter. That is the whole handoff. You are 26 years old, and you become a single father in the time it takes to read 11 words. You do not cry. There is no slot in the schedule for it. Eli wakes up at 6:50 and asks for waffles, so you make waffles, because a 2-year-old's morning does not care what happened to yours. The first thing that hits is not the loneliness. It is the math. Her paycheck was $1,900 a month. Rent is $1,380. Your take-home is $2,260. That night, you sit at the kitchen table and subtract a person from a household, and the number that comes out the other side does not work. Daycare. You call 9 places on your lunch break with a finger in one ear. The cheapest full-time spot in the county is $1,140 a month. You do that math while the woman is still talking. More than half of everything you bring home, just to be allowed to keep bringing it home. She says it kindly, like kindness changes arithmetic. Then you find Miss Pearl, a home daycare 6 blocks away in a house that smells like crayons and chicken soup. 19 years of this neighborhood's kids. $780 a month, cash or check. You explain the situation badly. Drop-off is at 7, she says. He'll be fine. You look like the one who won't be. That night you set the table and put down 3 plates before you catch yourself. You put the third one back in the cabinet. You will be counting plates for the rest of your life. On a Thursday, mouth full of noodles, Eli asks where Mommy went. You give him the kind lie you have been rehearsing. He nods and asks for more noodles. Your sister Dana shows up Sunday with 4 grocery bags you did not ask for and will not refuse. She is 2 years older, works in billing at the hospital, and has never been late for anything in her life. At the door, she stops. Call me before it gets bad, she says. Not after. Men always call after. You tell her you're fine. It is the second lie of the year, and the first one you tell yourself. You move to the day shift, so the hours line up with Miss Pearl's, losing the night differential, $2.10 an hour, gone, and you pick up Saturdays to plug the hole. Sleep lives in the cracks, and at 9:40 on a Tuesday, with Eli asleep and the sink empty and the apartment so quiet it hums, you open 1 beer. 1. You have earned 1. That is the exact sentence. Level 2. The cans. This level runs on a clock nobody else can see. Miss Pearl closes at 6. Your shift ends at 5:30. The bus takes 22 minutes when it is on time, and the late fee is $1 a minute, and the fee is not the problem. The problem is Eli at the front window with his coat already on, so you learn the sprint. Every working day now ends in a foot race, and the prize is your son's face when you come through the door, and you would run it twice. Overtime becomes a riddle with no answer. Time and a half is $24.90 an hour, and every extra hour costs $1 a minute on the far end, plus something that does not have a price sticker. You take some, you turn down more. You do everybody's math now, whether they ask or not. Yours is getting worse. The electric bill goes $212 past due. The car's transmission starts making a sound like a spoon in a garbage disposal, and in February it quits for good, and everything becomes the bus. You sell her sewing machine to a stranger for $90, and for 1 hour it feels like revenge, and after that it just feels like $90. And the beer moves. That is the only way to say it. It moves. 1 can at 9:40 becomes 2, at 9:15 becomes 3 at 8:50. The store brand 12-pack is $11.49, which you point out to yourself like a defense attorney. Bars are for people with babysitters. This is the responsible version. You drink it standing at your own sink, like a man doing dishes. You line the empties on the windowsill because recycling goes out Tuesday. One Tuesday, you count 14. The next Tuesday, you count 19. The Tuesday after that, you do not count. You, the man who counts everything, plates, minutes, dollars, waffles. You have found the one number in your life you refuse to run, and some quiet part of you knows exactly what that means, and says nothing. Eli turns 4 in Dana's backyard, with a dinosaur cake she baked herself, and you are funny all afternoon. Loud funny. Dana catches you alone by the cooler at 2 o'clock and looks at you the way she looks at a billing error. "How many is that?" she says. Not a question. An audit. "It's a birthday," you say. "It's 2 o'clock," she says. You tell her you're handling it, and the sentence comes out with edges, and she lets it go, and the letting go is worse than a fight. Here is the trap of this level. You never miss a shift. You never miss drop-off. Rent is late, but rent arrives. By every number a stranger could check, you are handling it, and that spreadsheet becomes your alibi. Then it is a Wednesday in March, and you are standing in Eli's doorway at 6:40 a.m., watching him sleep with Bear in a headlock, and you cannot remember putting him to bed. You remember the couch. You remember opening the fourth one. Then it is morning. The fear that goes through you has a temperature. You pour out everything in the fridge, stand the empties on the sill like a verdict, and go 3 days flat and white-knuckled. On day 4, the warehouse runs a 14-hour turnaround, and the store sits right on the walk home from the bus. The cans go back on the sill. This time, you do not line them up straight. Level 3, the knock. The knock comes at 2:40 on a Saturday afternoon, and you hear it from somewhere underwater. You surface on the couch. The TV is playing a cartoon for nobody. The light through the blinds is the wrong color because you sat down at 11 with the second one, just the second one, and now it is the middle of the afternoon. The knocking is Dana. Dana has a key, which means the knocking is Dana deciding whether to use it. Here is what you piece together later. Eli got hungry around 1. He tried to wake you twice, and then he did what the kids of tired parents learn to do. He dragged a kitchen chair to the stove because you make grilled cheese on Saturdays, and he has watched 100 times. The burner ran for 40 minutes. The pan smoked. The smoke found the hallway. The hallway found Mrs. Petroff in 2C, and Mrs. Petroff called Dana instead of 911, and that is the entire width of your luck. Nobody is hurt. That word, nobody, will do more work in your head this year than any other. Dana comes in, turns off the stove, and picks up your son, and you are standing in your living room saying his name, awake in every direction. She does not yell. You would trade anything for yelling. "He's coming with me tonight," she says, in the voice she uses at work for numbers that will not reconcile. Then, quieter, "You told me you'd call before." Sunday night, at her kitchen table, she turns her phone around so you can see what she has typed into the search bar. "Do I make this call? Or do you fix it before somebody makes me?" Your mouth says nothing. Your face must say plenty, because on Monday morning, she makes the call. The person who reports you is the person who loves him most. It takes you 2 years to forgive her. It takes longer to tell her she was right, out loud, to her face. You will, eventually, at a graduation. That is far from now. Ms. Cole arrives Tuesday with a county lanyard and a folder with your name on the tab. 40s, tired in a permanent way. 31 families on her caseload, 11 years in, and she looks at your sink and your recycling and your eyes without a flicker. "I have read 1,000 versions of this file," she says. The fathers who get their kids back stop arguing with the file. That is the entire trick. You want to argue? Hire a lawyer. You want your son? Get boring. Kinship placement. Eli stays with Dana. You get 1 hour, Thursdays, in a county visitation room with toys older than he is and a mirror on one wall that everyone pretends is a mirror. The first Thursday, Eli spends the whole hour showing you a drawing. 2 figures, one big, one small, both smiling, all in orange crayon. At minute 60, he puts his shoes on because Aunt Dana is waiting, and at the door he stops. "Are you coming home with me?" 4 adults are within earshot. Not one of them will look at you. "Not yet, buddy." He nods like a much older person and carries it out with him. The math of the fall, itemized. A private custody lawyer wants $2,500 down. You have $61. The court hands you a checklist instead. Sobriety, testing, a class, stable income, stable housing, every visit attended. 6 boxes. Wednesday night, you stand in the beer aisle running the one calculation you have left. A 12-pack is $11.49. Bus fare to Thursday's visit is $4.50 round trip. It is the simplest math of your life, and you stand there too long anyway. Then you ride 2 more stops to a church basement on Delancey, because the flyer stapled to the checklist said Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 o'clock, burnt coffee, folding chairs. A big man with hands like dock rope feeding grounds into a machine older than you are. Sit anywhere, Hollis says. The chair doesn't care who you were. Level 4. The binder. The county gives you a case plan with 6 boxes. Hollis gives you the sentence that organizes the next year of your life. You don't get him back by being sorry, he says. First meeting, coffee like tar. Sorry doesn't photograph. You get him back by being boring. Boring on paper. Judges trust paper. Hollis is 63, 17 years sober, 31 years fixing city buses before his knees retired him, and he runs the Tuesday and Thursday meetings, like a depot foreman. He does not do speeches. He does sentences and he hands them out in 3s. Meeting, meal, bed, he tells you, night 1, in that order. Come back tomorrow. So you buy a binder, 3 rings, navy blue, $6.49. Everything goes in it. Every meeting slip, signed, every test result, every pay stub, tabs in date order, because Ms. Cole speaks paper and you are becoming fluent. Here is the arithmetic nobody warns you about. Proving you are sober costs money. The county requires screens twice a week, $45 each, cash, and the county does not pay for them. You do. $90 a week, $360 a month. To generate paper that says what your own eyes say for free. Sobriety has a cover charge. You staple every receipt into the binder, and some tired part of you almost admires the racket. The outpatient program runs 3 evenings a week. The intake nurse asks how much and how often, gets the honest answer, and checks you over first, because stopping is not always something a body forgives. The parenting class is Saturdays, $180 in a fluorescent room. You expect to hate it. Week 3, the instructor explains that a 4-year-old asking the same question 9 times is a 4-year-old checking whether the world holds still. And you think about a door and a question, and you have to step into the hallway for a minute. Then Hollis changes the trajectory of everything in 9 words. My nephew Moss runs heat and air. He's hiring. Moss is 60, built like a furnace, owns 2 vans with his name on the doors, and hires the men nobody else will touch. Helpers start at $16.50, less than the warehouse with overtime, and you take it anyway because of what Moss does with a marker on the back of an invoice. $16.50 now. $20 when you pass the EPA card. $26 after 2 winters. $34 the day you can run a van alone. A number attached to a date. You have never had a number attached to a date. The invoice goes in the binder's front pocket. Thursdays are Eli. 1 hour. You are never late. You are 40 minutes early every week on the bench across the street. And one Thursday, Ms. Cole walks past at minute 35, nods and writes something down. Paper again. Good. The chips go where the cans used to stand. The windowsill, 24 hours, 30 days, 60, 90 red as a stop sign. And on day 90, a job runs 14 hours, and you end up in the beer aisle at 9:40 with your hand cold from the cooler door. You call Hollis. He listens to you breathe. Then 3s. Put it down, buy eggs, come by. You eat scrambled eggs at 10:30 at night on a porch with an old bus mechanic who never once mentions alcohol. He talks about thermostats. It works. You stop needing to know why. Month 7, the review hearing. The judge flips through the binder for 2 minutes while the room holds still. Keep doing exactly this, she says. Unsupervised Saturdays, effective immediately. Overnights in 90 days. Reunification on the table. That night, you buy a twin bed frame for $89 and build it alone in the empty second bedroom, level and square, months before anyone says you are allowed. 41 days until the next hearing. You count every single one. It is the first count in years you are glad to run. Level 5. The return. Day 41 arrives on a Tuesday and you wear the good shirt. The judge takes 4 minutes. Overnights, effective this weekend. She looks over her glasses at the binder, 2 inches thick now, tabbed in date order. Whoever taught you to do this, thank him. You do. Thursday, 7 o'clock, burnt coffee. Hollis waves it off and hands out 3s. Sheets, waffles, doorbell. So Saturday at 9. Eli stands in your doorway, holding Bear and a duffel bag. 5 years old, taller, missing a tooth you were not there for. He walks past you, down the hall, and stops at the second bedroom like he is checking your work. The twin bed, level and square. He sets Bear on the pillow, dead center. This is mine. he says. Not a question. An inventory. 2 waffles Sunday morning. You count the syrup out loud to make him laugh, and he laughs, and the sound fills 3 months of quiet. Reunification takes 5 more months of paper. 14 months and 11 days after the knock, you stand on Dana's porch while Eli drags his bag to the car. And this time, you are the one who gets to say it. You're coming home with me. He nods like he has been waiting for it longer than you have. Dana hugs him, then looks at you over his head, runs her audit, and finds the books clean. Ms. Cole closes the file in a county hallway that smells like floor wax. This is the most boring file on my desk, she says, shaking your hand. It's my favorite one. Kindergarten starts in September. The backpack costs $19 and he wears it to dinner for a week. The first morning, he holds your hand across the parking lot, stops at the door, hands you Bear for safekeeping, and walks in without looking back. You stand there longer than the other parents. Some of it is pride. The rest does not have a name yet. Life gets structured like a wage ladder. The alarm at 6:10. Drop off at 7:40. Miss Pearl for after school at $310 a month. Pick up at 5:45 with time to spare, because Moss watches the clock for you. Go get your boy. The condenser will still be broken tomorrow. The EPA test costs $40, and you study for it at the kitchen table at 9:40 every night, because 9:40 used to be the drinking hour, and now it is the building hour, and you like taking things back. You pass. Moss crosses out $16.50 on the invoice taped inside the van and writes $20 with the date next to it. A number attached to a date kept. For the first time since the note, the account does not hit zero before payday. $118 left over. You do not spend it. You just open the app at night and look at it, like other men look at fish tanks. You stand in a stranger's basement that week, brazing a line set, and realize you're good at this. Not fine at it, good. The chips march down the windowsill. 6 months, 9. On the 1-year night, the basement sings the birthday song off key, and Hollis presses the bronze medallion into your palm with a grip like a pipe wrench and says 3 words. Keep coming back. Eli's drawing from the visitation room. 2 figures in orange crayon, one big and one small, hangs on the refrigerator at exactly his eye level. You know, because you measured. Level 6. The magnet. 2 winters do what Moss said they would. $26 an hour on the date written. The day you run a van alone, he crosses it out again. $34. You are 32. You own 11 tools outright, and your son can name 4 kinds of compressor failure from the passenger seat, which his school does not consider an achievement, and you do. Then Moss sits you down in the shop on a Friday, pours you coffee, and retires you both. I'm 64, my knees are 80. You're not buying my company because my company is me and 2 vans. You're starting yours. He slides a paper across. His customer list. 19 years, 400 names. You ask what he wants for it. He turns an invoice over and writes the number on the back. 0. You'll pay it, he says. Just not to me. The van costs $7,200. A diesel with 140,000 miles, and a bulkhead that rattles on left turns. Insurance is $310 a month. The license, the bond, the tank refills, all of it goes into a new binder, because paper is still the language and you are still fluent. The magnetic door signs cost $89 a pair, and you notice the number, because the last $89 you spent built a bed in an empty room on Faith. Your first call comes off Moss's list, an 80-year-old widow with a furnace that quit in October. You are under it for 2 hours, charge her $240, and she tips you in banana bread and tells you Moss never wore shoe covers. You wear shoe covers. Driving home, your hands are shaking a little, and it is not the cold. It is a company with 1 customer, which is 100% growth away from 2. Eli names the company. He is 8, eating cereal, watching you sketch logos badly. Name it Bear, he says. Bear kept me safe. You keep houses safe. He rides along on Saturdays, hands you the flashlight before you ask for it, learns to read a gauge set by 9, and falls asleep on the drive home holding the clipboard like it is his. You have to leave the kitchen for a minute. Then you order the magnets. Bear Heating and Air, black letters, a small dog beside the phone number. The first year is a knife fight with a calendar. You quote 14 jobs to win 5. A compressor swap pays $1,480, and the part eats $610 of it. August brings $9,100, and February brings $2,300, and you learn that winter feeds you and spring starves you. So you start selling maintenance plans, $180 a year, 2 checkups, and the plan smooth the months like a hand smoothing a bedsheet. Miss Pearl's furnace dies in January. You fix it in an afternoon and charge her nothing, forever. And she stands in her kitchen that smells like crayons and chicken soup and tells you she always knew. The scare comes in year 2. A landlord stiffs you $4,100 across 3 invoices. The van needs a transmission, and the math stops working the way it stopped working once before, and you feel the old dark hum in the walls of it. You do not open anything. You call Dana. Before, not after. There is a silence on the line while she recalculates you. You called before, she says. She shows up Sunday with a laptop instead of groceries, builds you real books, sets up invoices that charge interest on day 31, and stays for dinner. 3 plates. You count them. After that, some Sundays she just comes anyway. Level 7. The contracts. Growth, it turns out, is boring on purpose, and you're fluent in boring. The maintenance plans compound. 400 names become 900. A property manager tries you on one tired building, then hands you 14, and commercial contracts change the arithmetic of your life. Residential pays by the job. Contracts pay by the month, whether anything breaks or not. 14 buildings at $600 a month is $8,400 that arrives on the first like weather. You price the plans low on purpose. The money is not the point. The predictability is the point. Predictable money is the first money in your life that has ever let you sleep. Revenue you can predict is revenue a bank will lend against, and a bank will hand a boring man almost anything. You hire your first helper out of the Thursday basement, a wiry kid named Webb, 11 months sober, fired from everywhere, exactly the resume Moss used to hire on purpose. You start him at $18.50 and write the ladder on the back of an invoice. Numbers attached to dates, and you watch him read it twice, and you know what his face is doing because your face did it once. When Webb takes his 1-year chip in the basement, you clap from the back row until your hands hurt, and Hollis catches your eye across the folding chairs, and neither of you says anything because the room is the sentence. 6 vans by the time Eli is 14, a shop lease, a dispatcher, uniforms with the small dog on the chest. You pay yourself $94,000 a year, and it reads like a typo. Then the fourplex, the ugliest building on Delancey, sagging porch, $289,000, 3 blocks from the church basement that rebuilt you. You put $58,000 down, money counted into existence over 6 years, and your crews fix it at cost on weekends. 4 units at $875. The street that saved your life starts paying you rent, and you never once miss the poetry of it. Eli grows up counting. He does the fourplex math at the dinner table faster than you can. Gross to net, unprompted, 13 years old. He counts everything, Dana says, watching him. God help him. He is not a wrench kid. He is a numbers kid. Robotics club, scholarship letters, a mind like a level laid across the world, checking what is true. You tell him the whole story when he is 16. The cans, the stove, the knock, the year at Aunt Dana's. All of it, plain, no varnish. He is quiet for a long time. I know, he finally says. I was there. I just didn't have the words yet. Graduation lands in June, in a gymnasium that smells like popcorn and floor polish. Eli crosses the stage with honors, and the family section stands up. You, Hollis in a pressed shirt, Miss Pearl with a camera, Moss with his cane, and Dana filming it with the focus of a woman who does not intend to lose 1 second of this. Afterward, in the parking lot, you catch her arm. 14 years you have owed your sister a sentence, and you pay your debts now. You were right to make the call, you say, out loud to her face. You saved him from me so I could get back to him. Thank you. Dana, who has never been late for anything in her life and does not cry in parking lots, puts her forehead on your shoulder and stays there a while. Level 8. The empty room. You are 44 and the money is quiet. 12 vans with a small dog on the doors. Webb runs operations now, 9 years sober, teaching new hires the ladder off the backs of invoices. Bare heating and air clears $2.9 million a year. The fourplex became 3 buildings, 14 doors, $11,900 a month in rent before expenses. A private equity firm offers $3.4 million for the company, and you think about it for exactly 1 week, which is how long it takes to picture who they would fire first. You keep it. Some things are not for sale. Most of them are people. The house is paid off. The truck was bought with a check. Your accountant uses the word millionaire in a sentence about you, the way he might mention rain. and you make him back up and say it again, slower. Then you drive to a job site anyway, because a thermostat in Unit 6 is reading 4 degrees wrong, and rich is not a reason to let that stand. College costs $31,000 a year. Out-of-state engineering. You pay it in full each semester, and the website asks if you need a payment plan, and you sit there a second, remembering a man in a beer aisle choosing between a 12-pack and bus fare. On move-in day, you carry boxes up 3 flights, shake hands with a roommate, and hug your son on a sidewalk in a city that gets to have him now. He is 19, taller than you, with his mother's chin and your habit of counting stairs. The drive home is 4 hours. The house is very clean and very loud with nothing. You stand in the doorway of his room. The twin frame is long gone, outgrown twice, but you kept it, broken down flat in the garage, because some receipts you frame and some you keep in the dark. Bear sits on the shelf where a 5-year-old placed him, dead center. On the desk, the binder, retired, 2 inches of the worst year of your life, tabbed in date order, and taped to the coffee maker downstairs, because he knows the whole story now. A note in his handwriting, 11 words. You stayed. That was the something kind. I love you, Dad. You read it 11 times. You count. Of course you count. Thursdays you still make the meeting. 16 chips in a coffee can on the windowsill. Hollis is 79 and sits in the front row while you set up the chairs. And when new men ask him how this works, he points at you and speaks in threes. Show up, shut up, stay. Then it is a Tuesday night, 9:40, and you stop for eggs. He is in the next aisle. Early 20s, work boots, a basket on one arm, diapers the small size, formula the store brand. His phone is out, calculator open, and he's putting his own dinner back on the shelf item by item to make the numbers close, and his face is doing arithmetic. You can read from 30 feet because it used to be your face. At the register, his card comes up $9 short, and before the cashier finishes the sentence, you cover it. He does the proud thing, the wave off, the I'm fine, the second lie of his year. It's just me and her, he says. Her mom left. You take his receipt and write on the back of it, because that is where the important numbers go. Bear heating and air. Helpers start at $18.50. Ask for web. A number attached to a date, and the date is tomorrow. You hand it over and give him 3. Formula, sleep, that number. He looks at the receipt, then at you, trying to file you, and you say the last thing, the one that was said to you once in a house that smelled like crayons, the one you have carried 20 years like change in a pocket, waiting. You look like the one who won't be. Sunday you set the table. 3 plates. Dana brings bread. Eli is driving down. 4 hours. Says he would not miss it. You put the plates out slow, counting. 3. The count comes out right.